Hi, my name is Deanna Deer, and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. So, this is a TED style video about the 5-factor model. Now, before I explain the 5-factor model, I want to go into a little history on it for a second. Excuse me. This model was made in the 1980s, between the 1990s. There's a lot of articles that argue about that. They say it's 1980 something, and then others say it's 1990 something, so we just like say the 80s to the 90s. So, like I said, found it in the 80s and 90s by two men named Robert McCrae and Paul Costa. Now, before they create this theory, there were several other personality theories out there. Some of them people still believe true, hence why it's called a theory. Now, the three leading ones were Gordon Allport, who had 4,000 factors in his theory. We had Raymond Cattell, who had 16, and then Hans Eysenck, who had 3. Fun fact, Hans Eysenck inspired both McCrae and Costa in their theories, and yeah, they just inspired them. So, let's look at it. And then, of course, we had McCrae and Costa, who came through and have the 5-factor model personality now. So, the 5-factor model is basically our personality is built by 5 factors, hence the name, on a scale, there's a test kind of like the scale of high, middle, and low, each of which determine how high we are on the scale basically determines our personality. Because, of course, the high is one thing, low is another thing, and then middle, you're kind of both. So, a fun way to remember the 5 factors is ocean. So, the first one is openness to experience. Now, openness to experience, we think about someone who is curious, imaginative, and tries new things. So basically, that's the high part of it. So, tries new things, creative, and curious. Now, somebody on the lower half, we think opposite. So, someone who doesn't like stepping out their comfort zone, someone who hates new things, and they're not very creative in their personality. So, like I said, the middle would be a mix of it, so it'd be someone who likes to try new things, but doesn't like stepping out their comfort zone, so it's kind of easy. So, let's talk about the next one, conscientiousness. Sorry if I mispronounce it in any way. Now, the higher part of this trait is someone who is very structured, they're very organized, and just looking at my notes, and they prepare everything in advance. Now, let's think again opposite. So we think people who doesn't like structured, they can procrastinate, and they're lazy at times. So, a fun example with this one is, for the high part, we can think of somebody with OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder, and then somebody at the lower who is chronically lazy. Now, in the middle, we can describe somebody that is organized but not organized at the same time, or not organized to other people's standards, which organized mess. But that kind of helps you remember it a little bit, because that's what helped me when I was learning it for the first time a few months ago. Okay, going on to the next one is extroversion. Now, when we think extroversion, we'll think of somebody like a social butterfly. Somebody who likes social settings. Now, for the high part, of course, we have people who like meeting new people, who like spotlight, and making new friends. Now, lower side, let's go to people who don't like meeting people. We'll also go with hates small talk and has trouble starting conversations. Now, we can do somebody in the middle who hates talking to people or being around people, but they also, I have that backwards. Somebody likes talking to people, like meeting new people, but are scared to. Or somebody that kind of doesn't like social settings, but they still do it because of their friends. Which, that's kind of easy and is very relatable for most people. Now, Okay, so our second and last one is agreeableness. I'm sorry, I have to screw through my notes to make sure I stay on track. Now, let's think. The higher signs would be somebody with lots of empathy, they're kind, and they have interest in others. Now, let's go to the lower parts. It'd be a manipulative person, someone who doesn't have very much interest in others, and they're not very caring either. Now, a good example that I came up with is a friend group, for instance. So, somebody with the higher signs would be like the mom of the group because, they're caring and they're loving and they're always there for you. Now, somebody in the middle would kind of be nonchalant, but they care about you. Like tough love, but they care and love you. Now, somebody at the lower part would be the fake friend. Somebody that doesn't really like anybody like you, but they're there for some stupid reason. But that kind of helps with it. Because if you think of agreeableness, you think of somebody that's somebody that's nice. So that's very easy to remember. Now, our last one is neuroticism. And it kind of sounds negative, which it can be because it can get destructive eventually if it goes on without being treated or getting help. Now, let's look. I'm sorry. So, let's think about it. Higher signs, we see mood instability, we see anxiety, and we see stress. Now, lower signs, we'd see the very opposite. So in this case, since it's kind of negative, we think positive. Somebody's mood who's emotionally stable, somebody who's more relaxed, and they're less stressed. Now, in the middle, of course, would be someone who experiences like anxiety-related disorders. Let's think BPD, let's think anxiety, for instance, depression, mood swings, all that, which there's so many I can go into, but at this time we won't. But just somebody that can deal with, that has it, but they also have good days and have, good stable health, mental health. Now, somebody with the higher signs should get some mental help because, I'm not being mean, it's just because with some destructive disorders like that, for a long time can be very taxing on your mental health. And with this theory, it shows that you can change. And it's just good to get mental help when you're suffering from things that are hurting you mentally. It should be a rule, but it's not, sadly. Now, let's think about this. Thinking about with all these factors, more people are more in the middle than anything, which is very common because we're not always one thing, we're not always another thing, which some people can be and some people are, but majority of the time we are in the middle. So, what's a good thing about this is that this theory shows that we can change. Both Paul Costa and Robert McRae said it was hard, but everything's hard. If you want it bad enough, you're gonna change for it. And that's what's amazing about this theory, because it shows that we could be flawed and we can change as humans, which is amazing. That's why I full-heartedly believe in this theory. Now, like I said, there's a test you can take with the high, the middle, and the low. But there are also fun tests that we can look at. Like, think about one does your personality match with such and such character from this TV show? It's kind of cute seeing how you can relate to your characters and stuff. But that's one of the first tests that come to mind. That's kind of fun that you take with your personality. And just gain an understanding of the model, and even taking the test, the actual test, can show what we need to change and how we do it. It's amazing because it helps us get better. And anyway, I want to thank you for listening to me and rambling on. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.